Enjoy 1% merchant commission when you accept Lanka Pay cards. Contact these banks today.
The sound of factories in Sri Lanka making clothes to dress up the world is slowing down. It's not the end of a day's work, but the gradual reduction in orders from key markets like Europe and the US. Workers on the factory floor and at the supervisory and management levels are leaving their jobs. Yet no one is laid off, but what's happening inside the factories is that workers are asked to leave voluntarily or join some other factory within the same group in another location. Employers face problems in maintaining a workforce that they cannot lay off, despite no work, and the employees are fighting it hard to survive in the city and save money to send home ever since their overtime pay has been cut off. Some workers told us about issues of harassment as workers feel disgruntled and leave voluntarily. Some were paid compensation as well. These are the stories of women workers in the garment factories in Sri Lanka, fighting it hard to survive in a country that is trying to pick up its own economy.
මගේ ගම බදුල්ල අවුරුදු 17ක් වෙනවා පැකින් නන්සෙන් වැඩ කරන්න. හම්බ කරන පඩියෙන් ඉතින් කඩේට 10ක් 15ක් විතර යනවා. බෝඩි මට 5000ක් යනවා 1500ක් විතර යනවා කරන් බිල. ගෙදර ඉන්නේ පුතා විතරයි මං මහත්තයා නැහැ. මං හම්බ කළා තමයි ඉතින් පුතාත් මේවා කරගෙන ඉතින් පුළුවන් ඉතින් ඕටි කළා හිටන් කොහොම හරි 40ක් විතර ගත්තා. දැන් කොහොමත් 29ක් 28ක් වගේ තමයි පඩිය ගන්නේ. ඕඩර්ස් අඩුවම කියලා අඩුයි වෙනදට වඩා අඩුයි. ඒ වුණාට අඩු කියලා හිටන් ලයින් එකකින් මහ ලයින තරමට ඉතින් ෆිනිෂන් එකේ වැඩ අඩුවක් වෙන්නේ නැහැ. ඉතින් ලයින් එකෙන් අවුට් එක දවසකට 800ක් ඉල්ලනවා නම් 800 අවුට් කරගන්නවා. ඉතින් අර පැය 6 වෙනකන් වැඩ කරත් ඉතින් ඒ ගාන තමයි ඒ වුණාට පැය 5 වෙනකොට ඒ ගාන ගන්නවා. කෑ ගහනවා. ඉතින් අර වෙනද වගේ නෙමෙයි වැඩ නැති වුණා කියලා හිට වැඩ නතර කරන්නේ නැහැ. දවසේ ටාකට් එක දවසට ගන්නවා.
We know that some of the factories have closed down. I can give some example of Koggala Free Trade Zone. Workers have been asked to not to report for work. They have not even given in writing. More than 500 workers have lost their employment. And they have not even paid their wages from July to October, where they said they are closing the factory. And similarly, we heard that factory workers were asked to not to report for work, but they are paying their basic salary. But how can the workers manage with the basic salary? Of course, they will be paid their compensation, because until now the compensation package is still in force, but they will pay compensation. But after they get the compensation, so how can they manage with? And most of them have families.
මට දරුවෝ දෙන්නෙක් ඉන්නවා මහත්තයා නෑ මගේ ඕඩර්ස් නැති වෙලා අපිට කිව්වා ගෙදර නවතින්න කියලා. ඊපස්සේ මාස 3ක් විතර වගේ ගෙදරින් ඉඳලා ඊට පස්සේ කිව්වා මාර්තු 30 වෙනිදා අපිට එන්න කියලා. අපිට කිව්වා අපි කැමැත්තෙන් අස්වෙන විදියට මේ ලියුම දීලා අයින් වෙන්න අපිට මේ වන්දි දෙනවා කියලා. ඒකෙන් මට වන්දි හම්බ වුණා 63000. ගිය අවුරුද්දේ 9 වෙනි මාසේ ඉඳලා වගේ තමයි අපිට වැඩ නැතුණු. ඊට පස්සේ අපිට කිව්වා කෝල් කරන්නම් ගෙදර නවතින්න මොනවද මේ පඩිය දානවා කියලා. එහෙම කොහමද දවස් 145ක් විතර වගේ ගෙදර හිටියා. පඩිය දැම්මයි කට්ටිය. ඊට පස්සේ තමයි මාර්තු 30 වෙනිදා අපිට එන්නේ කියලා ළමයි නතර කරපු අයට අස්වීමේ ලිපිය දීලා අයින් වෙන්න කියලා අපි වයින් කෙරුවා. අපේ කැමැත්තෙන් අයින් වෙන විදියට ඊට පස්සේ තමයි මම එයාපෝට් එකේ වැඩට 45ක් කිට්ටුවෙන් හම්බුණා අපිට ඉන්සෙන්ඩුවට ඒවයි ඔක්කොම ඇද්දි 45ක් විතර හම්බුණා. දැන් හම්බෙන්නේ ඉතින් වැඩට ගිය ප්‍රමාණය විතර දවසට 1150යි.
So this is the time I think we should discuss these matters, how to overcome this issue. This is a national issue. But workers have no unions to raise this issue. Most of the workers just accept. So I think it's a terrible situation. That is where I think there should be a safety net to cover these workers. At the beginning of the COVID, according to the JAF, Joint Apparel Association Forum website, there were about 500,000 employees in the apparel sector. But after COVID, according to their same website, they said 350 employees. That means 150,000 workers lost their employment during the COVID period. When the whole country was closed, public sector employees and other sectors were at home. The free trade zone workers were asked to come to work, and they worked because the apparel sector and the export sector was declared as essential service. So workers came to work, but they did not get single additional amount because they were sacrificed. But finally what happened? Now workers earn money during the COVID. Suddenly the government declared we don't have dollars. So then the economic crisis started. And because saying that we don't have dollars, so our members asked the question, where is the dollars we earned during COVID?
It's a very chaotic situation. As we can see from the figures year on year and month on month, so from the last year's last quarter and up until now, it's on a kind of a slalom where the production and the exports are going down on the apparel industry. So it's quite alarming. And now the apparel is predicting, for this whole year, there can be more than $1 billion loss of revenue to the country from the apparel itself, and that's a huge hit. As I've always been talking, the micro and the SMEs are the ones who are indigenous operators, and overnight they will lose their position and they will lose their jobs and they will lose their factories and income. That happened, and that's been happening, and to a very great extent. And then those big companies who are giving them orders are mostly multinationals. Of course, there are a couple of Sri Lankan companies also, but they are also now a multinational. So those multinationals who have the capability, capacity, and the orders and things, and they will definitely move their operations elsewhere in the world. So that is also happening, and some of the multinationals and some of the FDIs are going for closures. So all these things are happening in and around the industry right now. Sri Lanka is facing a unique situation. Actually, other players in the region, like take for example Bangladesh, India, Myanmar, and the company SAARC region, I would say. And then outside the SAARC region we have Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, and other places, and also Africa, that is Ethiopia and places like that, Kenya. But our situation is not only just can be attributed to the global situation, but we have our own local problems here. Because of that, the operation costs have skyrocketed. And on the other hand, the taxes, we have been hit by the big tax increments of 30% of taxes. Now the people are starting to pay. At this pace, Sri Lanka is going to lose their, the position in the apparel market in the world. So if that happens, it is not easy to recover.
Sri Lanka hoped to see an improvement in the global markets in the second half of this year, but the industry was taken by surprise when this did not materialize. The global markets are still trying to overcome the crisis in their own homes, and as spending has dropped, Sri Lanka's export earnings will also drop. But this means more job losses for a larger number of workers. Some are leaving the country, joining a growing exodus as more people try to find greener pastures elsewhere outside Sri Lanka.